Well, good evening, everybody. It's good to be here. I'm glad to have energy enough to come out. I went on a trip today to pick up my mother. She's been gone for a good while, and I went to retrieve her, and I was looking at the scenery on the way up I-75, and the further I got into middle Georgia, I started noticing some things that was sort of standing out to me, and I wanted to stop, and I wanted to maybe even do a on location clip, but I couldn't find a place to do it, and I didn't want to be arrested for trespassing or anything. But I remember looking at something today that was sort of ironic and that I've done a message on before. I just don't know how long it's been. But I noticed today as I was driving that there was a lot of cotton fields. And there was a bunch of cotton fields. And they had some rolled up. It looked like round bale hay. But it was actually rolled up in yellow plastic with white on the outside of it. And it was cotton. And I noticed there was some fields that had been harvested, and I still noticed a very few pieces of cotton down near the ground where the combine didn't get. The combiner that picked the cotton left a little bit. They always do. Every kind of implement that you can think of always ends up leaving a little bit behind. That's just the fact of the nature of the beast. Is anytime you have agriculture, you're always going to harvest a good majority, but you're always going to leave a little bit. And then a verse came into my head, and it was a verse that I know well, but I have it here in front of me because I felt like I needed to say to you the verse. In John chapter 4, Jesus said it so well right here. In verse 35, John 4 and verse 35, I want to read the verse. It says, "Say not ye, there are yet 4 months, and then cometh the harvest. Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white, already to harvest." Now, I believe he is mentioning this to the disciples because it says in verse 31, "In the meanwhile, his disciples prayed him, saying, Master, eat." See, they was worried about him eating. But he said unto them, "I have meat to eat that ye know not of." See, he's letting them know that there's something more important here than feasting on some food. And if you look at verse 33, "Therefore said the disciples one to another, Hath any man brought him aught to eat? Jesus saith unto them, My meat is to do the will of him that sent me, and to finish his work." See, the Lord's focus was the fields that are white. It wasn't the food that he was eating. Did Jesus need food? Yes, he did. But at that moment, he was telling them disciples that, look, I have a food that y'all don't understand yet. I have a food that I'm eating on that y'all don't have no clue what I'm eating on. And then he says right here, after he says, and to finish his work, and then he says, say not ye. Well, you know what? We have a tendency to do the same thing. Say not ye, they are yet 4 months. You know, it's always obvious that it's easy to put down the road something that could be done today. He says right here in this verse, say not ye, there are yet 4 months. In 4 months, we'll do this work, or in 4 months, we'll do that work. And what was Jesus telling them here? Say not ye, there are yet 4 months, and then cometh the harvest. See, that's the words that the disciples were saying. 4 months from now, we'll worry about the harvest. 4 months from now, we'll worry about lost people. 4 months from now, we'll begin to start doing what you want us to do. But right now is not a good time. We'll just put it off to tomorrow. Say not ye, there are yet 4 months, and then cometh the harvest. Behold. What does that word behold mean? It means to listen up. It means to tune in your ears and your eyes to what I'm saying. That's what Jesus meant when he said, behold, I say unto you. He's talking to them disciples right here. I say unto you, lift up your eyes. You know what? When I look down at the Bible, y'all see my eyes looking down at the Bible. You know what Jesus told them to do? Lift up your eyes. And what did I do today on that trip? That I was looking at them cotton fields. My eyes was focused on the white of them cotton fields. All them fields that are full of cotton. Lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white. The color, meaning that the fruit is on the vine, so to speak. The whiteness is where you can see it from the interstate. This world is a lot like a bunch of cotton fields out there, that there's a lot of people that are white, but you don't see the church going to get them. That combine had to go into the field to go get the cotton. The cotton didn't come to the church. The combine went into the field to get the cotton. But we want the cotton to walk inside our places of worship. And you know why the places of worship is in the condition it is? Because there's a bunch of cotton fields that are out here that are white, and the church don't care. The church really just don't give a flip. If they want to come into the church, let them humble themselves and let them come into the church. No, the combine goes to the field to get the cotton. And I noticed something. This verse right here, it says, for they are white, all ready to harvest. Already. What does that mean? The fields was white in Jesus's day. How much do you think the fields are white today? How much do you think that Jesus is looking on the lost world as a white field, but the churches is okay? If they want to come, they come. We'll welcome them with open arms when they walk in the door. You know why a lot of the people in the cotton fields ain't coming? Because they don't know that they ain't got any more than what I've got. The cotton fields are content just to be cotton out there in the field. That's what they do. The church world is not interested enough in going and cranking up the harvester and the combine and going out there and grabbing that cotton off of them little vines, off of them little plants. And there was cotton that I noticed that was on the ground. You know, that combine only could combine what was readily available to get. The combine couldn't get the cotton that was down near the dirt. If it was a certain size, it couldn't get that cotton. Not every bale of hay, not every little twig gets into the round bale. But what gets me about this verse right here is that word already. Jesus said to his disciples, these fields are white, all ready to harvest. You know what Jesus was actually saying? Why you bunch of disciples wants me to eat, I'm looking at fields that are white, meaning they're ready to pick. They're ready to pick now. But we want to stay, and we want to stay in our four walls of our sanctuary, and we just going to let the fields stay white. And we wonder why the church is empty. We wonder why the church can't intercede for people that are lost. Could it be that the church attitude is not where it needs to be? What did these disciples get Jesus interested in the food that they was trying to make him eat? No. Because Jesus had a food that these disciples didn't understand. These disciples wanted Jesus to eat. And Jesus is saying, look, I've got something that's a whole lot better. My meat is to do the will of him that sent me and to finish his work. Was Jesus a hungry man? I'm sure he was. He needed energy just like I need energy. But he also saw the field that are white, all ready to harvest. You know what? If you're part of the white field and you don't know the Lord, this very well might be the reason that I'm making this video, because if you're waiting on the church to come and get you, you might be waiting a long time. You might be waiting a long time if you're waiting on somebody in the church to come get you. If you are in the field and you're white to harvest, the Lord is drawing you into his combine. I want you to know that today, that the Lord is willing to combine you and put you into his role where that it could be usable for the Lord Jesus. Or you could be some of that cotton that falls down near the ground that the harvester can't get. And the Lord really wants to harvest everything. He wants to harvest the whosoever. For whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. You know, that was amazing to ride along there and see that cotton, and some of it so pretty. Some of it that the combine hadn't got into. There was one field that had all the rolls, and there was another field that they haven't yet got the combine in, and you could tell there was a huge difference in the whiteness of that field than the emptiness of the other field. And that combine, maybe today or tomorrow, or the next day, is going to go in that field that looks so pretty, and it's going to combine all that white cotton, but some of it is going to be left behind. You know, Jesus doesn't have a combine that leaves anything behind. His combine gets every piece of the white that wants to be combined. He gets every little piece of white cotton that has a desire to come to him. So don't go and sit there and say, well, Lord, I'm too down low. I'm too low to be caught by the combine. No, the combiner knows how to lower that head to get down to where the ground is to gather up all of the cotton. Am I saying tonight that you are a bunch of cotton? No, I'm saying that we are a bunch of cotton, that we was harvested, the ones that know the Lord. Do I still feel like a piece of cotton that is on the ground, that is stained up with the dirt and the dew and the mud of this life? Sure. That's a common fact that that's what's going to happen. All that leftover cotton that got on the ground is going to be plowed under one day. It's going to be got rid of. It's going to be turned into fertilizer. It's going to be tilled under the ground because it's got to be tilled in order for there to be a new crop planted. And all that cotton that fell on the ground is all going to be culled in and tilled in. And Jesus is saying, you don't have to be. I can put you to use. I can put you in my role. I can put you in that yellow back roll where all that cotton was, where that cotton could be used. Say not ye, there are yet 4 months. Why is the church basically guilty of saying these words right here? Say not ye, there are yet 4 months. Evidently, the disciples must have said that somewhere. They must have decided to put off what they could have done that day. They wanted to put it off to tomorrow, the next day. Say not ye, there are yet 4 months, and then cometh the harvest. Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes and look on the field. Sometimes we have to look at the field. The Christian has to look at the field. Now, was there such thing as a cotton field back in the day of Jesus? It very well could have been. It very well could have been a cotton field. But the field was white, all ready to harvest. And you know, let me tell you something a little bit about cotton. That cotton, when you pick it with your hand, it sticks your hand and it's thorny a little bit. You have to know how to grab it. You have to know how to touch it because it's got little thorns in it. And if you did like my daddy did, when my daddy was just a little boy, when he picked cotton, he had to wear mittens on his hands because them mittens would take in them thorns, but his hands would still bleed. See, Jesus' hands bled for you and bled for me. And them little thorns on that cotton was worth it for Jesus to grab a hold of that little white cotton, such as you or I. And his fingers began to bleed. And you know what? The Lord's hands bled on Calvary because he saw that the fields were white to harvest. See, it's going to be a little while before Jesus dies on the cross. From John chapter 4 all the way over to the end of the book of John, it's going to be several chapters before Jesus goes to the cross. But ultimately, his hands is going to bleed. His head is going to bleed. His feet is going to bleed. And he's going to say, it is finished. But the Lord is saying today the fields are white. And he's wanting the church to go into the field instead of the field walking into the church. I'm afraid that that's where the churches are today. We want the church. We want the field to walk into the church. It don't work that way. The combine goes to the field. The field don't get up and walk to the combine. It don't work that way. I hope this makes sense to you today. I'm glad that I was able to ride up there and see that cotton. And see that the fact that the fields are white, all ready to harvest. Are you part of that white field? Or are you waiting for somebody to come and get you? Don't wait for the church to come get you. I tell you in another story, don't even wait for the church to come get you. Ask Jesus to come and get you. The church may let you down. There's a lot of churches that let people down all the time. Don't wait for the church to let you down. Just ask the Lord to come and harvest you. Let him bring his combine in and let him get off that cotton that he loves so much, that he thinks the world of. The field is white, all ready to harvest. If it was all ready to harvest back then, how much is it wider today to harvest today? elderlyministry.com is the website. Go there and pull down the tab. You'll see a phone number. If you need to talk, give me a call. Leave a message when you do, and I'll return your call. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank y'all for watching.